world has been hit with this crazy epidemic called the coronavirus. A lot of people are in harm's way. And our goal is to keep our community safe and to make sure that we're all good, no matter where we are in the world. And so, so to have this conversation, I wanted to bring in a sister that I've known for a long time, that I have a lot of respect for. Major Asha Castleberry. You're Army, right? That's your branch of military. Is that correct, Asha?
Yes, serving the Army Reserves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she serves in the Army Reserve, so she serves our country, and she's also running for a congressional seat in the 17th district in New York. And so, first, I'd like to ask Major Castleberry, how are you doing today, sister?
I'm doing well. Just a bit of concern about this growing pandemic, but I'm doing well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you told me today, which really blew my mind, that you're kind of in ground zero of the coronavirus. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Yes. Well, I would definitely like to say thank you for having me on, one, and two, yes, we are what we call the ground zero for coronavirus for many reasons. One is because we're one of the top areas that have the most cases, and two, this is the area where the coronavirus first came to in the United States. A man in New Rochelle, New York, which is a city was sitting right outside of the Bronx. He was a lawyer. He was traveling from Italy, and he came home and went through Grand Central, which I know you've been to before, took the train home to New Rochelle, went home, and then I think he went to a wedding the following day, didn't feel well. And then from that point on, they found out that he was really sick, and then they found out that he had coronavirus. And it was already too late, because as a result of coming from Italy on the airplane, traveling to Grand Central, going to New Rochelle on the Metro North, he's affected a lot of people. He spread the virus to many people. So that's when you start to see that in his city alone, New Rochelle became a hot spot. And then what was really symbolic of that is when Governor Cuomo decided that we are going to deploy the New York National Guard to New Rochelle to put together a containment area, which is to provide humanitarian support to those that were exposed to the virus.
Yeah, well, I did read about New Rochelle. I don't know how many of you guys are watching in the chat if you also heard about what was going on in New Rochelle. So New Rochelle, let me just make sure I'm clear on that. So District 17, where you're running for Congress, is that near New Rochelle or like right there?
New Rochelle is in the, well, District 17 doesn't have New Rochelle in it, but we are in the same county. It's kind of weird when they redistricted. So we're part of the same county, but it's not part of District 17.
Mm-hmm. Wow. By the way, sorry, that's not coronavirus. I was just choking on my coffee.
It's okay.
So don't worry, guys. Don't you guys get nervous. Don't get nervous. I'm gonna be okay. So I'll tell you what. I think that a lot of us, live in neighborhoods where everything's okay. There's nothing nothing crazy or bad is going on, and we feel pretty safe. But there are some places where things are not like that. And so when you and I were talking, I was really curious. What's it like in the community in which you live? I mean, with the National Guard presence and all that stuff, what's going on there?
Well, it's more of a reality that this virus is a clear national security threat for us. It's definitely overwhelmed the area when it comes to resources, where a lot of local hospitals are receiving a lot of people that have been exposed or affected by the disease. So what you're seeing is a rapid number of cases going up, and at the same time, our resources are being overwhelmed. So with that being said, there's a high demand for more resources to come in to plus up the area, which is hospitals or providing humanitarian support. And so what you're seeing is that we're going into a different phase of this, I would say, operation, where we're starting to build isolated areas where if we have too many people that are affected by the virus, we're going to have to start bringing those people into these big holding areas. Like, for instance, the Westchester County Center is a huge, huge area where they're going to take that center and actually build an isolated area to bring in possibly patients that have been affected by the disease and treat them from there. And that's in preparation if it just, the numbers keep going up. And what we're seeing is that it's rapidly growing right now.
Hmm. Well, everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Major Asha Castleberry, and she's running for Congress in the 17th District of New York. And we're talking about what it's like in her district right now with the coronavirus epidemic hitting very close. Many of you heard about New Rochelle. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you heard about New Rochelle and what was going on there. And so you have a lot of infection that's happened there. A lot of people sort of enduring what a really scary situation. Have you seen, I mean, when you're out and about, like what's it sort of like to go out and about in New Rochelle? I mean, what are you doing yourself? Are you pretty much just staying home? I know you have your daughter there and your family there. So what are you doing personally to kind of deal with what's going on around you?
Oh, there's a lot of things I'm doing. One, I stay away from New Rochelle because it's now considered a containment area. Two, it seems like there's less people outside. They're actually being quarantined. You do see a lot of people just like going to stores or, restaurants for, to restock up at home. You do see where, some are in transit going to the hospital. I mean, it's a really scary situation, but for the most part, there are less people outside because they've been encouraged by Governor Cuomo that you have to stay home, practice social distancing, make sure that if you do develop the symptoms, call the hospital before you come. I mean, there's a lot of rules and regulation. We were on curfew starting not too long ago. At 8 p.m. you're not allowed outside. Just a lot of regulation going on as far as being outside and just being very cautious. And it's definitely a different world right now as a result of this virus.
Do you feel, I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel unsafe? It's funny that, that the coronavirus started in Wuhan, China. And in case anybody doesn't know, maybe we haven't mentioned it much, but that's where I met Major Castleberry a long time ago when you were an undergrad. And we bumped into each other in China. I was there as a faculty member at Syracuse University.
Yes.
And you were, was it Hampton? Is that where you went to undergrad?
Yes.
Yeah. So, just kind of as the only Black people in our group, we all hung together. There's like three of us. And that was right before the SARS epidemic in China, right? Is that correct? You informed me of that. Yeah. So, I know you're a strong person and brave and, you served your country, stuff like that. Do you feel, do you feel in danger? I mean, do you feel like sort of the stress that everybody, in the country is feeling, or do you feel like it's higher or lower? Or
it's a lot higher. It's actually on a scale of 9/11, but it's different because of the threat. The threat's not terrorism. It's more of a spread of disease, which is like uncontrollable. And it's uncontrollable because of human nature, human behavior. So, it's on that type of scale to where you're starting to see things shut down. A lot, as far as my congressional race, when the virus first hit Westchester County, we were doing petitioning, asking people to sign our petitions to get on the ballot. But that had to cease over time because of the fact that, there was exchange of human behavior where you had to touch your pen or knock on doors. And, people were afraid that they were exchanging germs or the virus alone. So there's been a lot of unique situations where these activities could not continue as a result of the spread of the virus. Now, I would say that's worse than 9/11 because for the most part, 9/11, things stopped, but we still went on our regular business shortly after. Here, it's like, okay, you have to stay home. You don't know how long, this can continue to the point where for your campaign, you're not sure if it's going to continue on June 23rd. It may. What you're seeing with the presidential primary that's come up in New York, it may not happen because of the fact that they don't want people to come out to vote. Maybe you'll do paper ballots. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you're seeing that may change as a result of the virus, and there's a lot of concerns around it.
So Asha, do you feel? There are people, in a lot of spaces that have, there end up being a lot of what you might call conspiracy theories or secondary agendas that sort of get circulated that not so much to say that the coronavirus isn't real, but to say that there are people that appear to be using it for their own purposes. I've even heard people say that they think that the president is trying to, cancel the election, things like that. And I know there's only so much that you might feel comfortable talking about, but I'd be curious to know, just as a political person yourself, in the sense that you're running for Congress and things like that. Do you sort of feel that there are people that might be using this whole crisis, in an inappropriate way?
Well, what I'm about to say, my words do not represent the words of the government. It's my own. That's one. And two, looking at the president of the United States right now, I think in many ways he could do a lot better in his decision making. Like for instance, if you look at calling on for more troops to support the mission, especially out in New York, where we just talked about New Rochelle or the rest of New York, where he should be bringing in maybe reserve and active duty component to help out with the virus. I think he should do that. But for some reason he's not. He's just saying, hey, let the National Guard take care of it. And if not the National Guard, let's bring in the Veteran Affairs personnel to do it, which I don't think we should do because they already have their own problems as far as shortage of personnel, doctors, nurses. So I think that should be just treated as a last resort. Another thing too that's big right now that Governor Cuomo just tweeted out, and I agree on this, is that the President of the United States should definitely support the Defense Production Act, which you saw back in the day, I think around World War II, where we ordered the entire country to make sure that they proliferate or produce more masks, ventilators, resources, support this mission as far as countering the virus. So we want to see more of that moving, but for some reason he's been holding off on that. And we really need that right now because we're experiencing a shortage when it comes to resources or the required equipment or whatever personnel that we need in order to move forward, especially if it exacerbates. So I think his decision making in that is something that he needs to really work on. Another thing too, when you look at his before the virus happened, President Trump, I don't think really took health security that serious. And I think there was kind of no excuse in that. When you look at what Obama did under the Obama administration, Obama actually countered the Ebola crisis using his US troops under Major General Williams in Africa, working closely with the Cubans and other strategic partners to help stop the spread of Ebola coming into the United States. So that was a good example to tell you in the 21st century, when it comes to national security threats, it's not just terrorism or climate changes, it can also be the spread of diseases. So President Trump could have looked at what Obama did and said, hey, I got to take health security serious too when it comes to the spread of diseases, but he did not do that. In fact, I think I was told that he got rid of his health advisor that served on the National Security Council and kind of pushed him to the side somewhere else. So he didn't really evaluate health threats or health security like that on a scale of a coronavirus or Ebola.
Interesting. Well, everybody who just came in, I want you to know I'm speaking with Major Asha Castleberry. And not only has she bravely served her country for many years, she also is running for Congress. The sister's running for Congress in the 17th district of New York, and which is right above the Bronx, by the way. And you guys know that I don't have a lot of, I actually almost have, I never have politicians on my platform. Just so you know, Asha, I've had lots of politicians ask to come on the platform, and you might be that I don't recall ever having any other politician on, anybody running for office. Yeah, so it's a sign of respect that I have for you. It's also a sign of respect I have for those who served our country. The only other person that's run for office that I would have on the show is a guy named Ryan Mack, who's out of Detroit, who I just love that guy a lot. And he's a great brother. So I just want you all to know that I don't you guys know how I am when it comes to the politics and stuff. But Asha, let me ask you this question. Okay, so you are and everybody, please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere else, please share this. Take 1 second, please, real quick. We need you guys to be part of our distribution army. Share this. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please do that. That's how you build Black media. Is everybody has a platform. Everybody please share so that we can all have these important, intelligent conversations. So Asha, let me ask you this question, Major Castleberry. You're a national security expert. I've seen you on a lot of shows. speaking on national security. And I think that's really important. I think that it's just, I mean, not just because because you're smart and you know what you're doing, but also we don't get a lot of opportunities to hear from Black women who are doing great things like that. People are more interested in seeing a Black woman do other things, dance, sing, rap, whatever it is. But I think that we need to hear from our sisters that are doing interesting things like you. And so I'm really curious about this whole idea. Now, of course, with coronavirus, this is one of the conspiracy theories, but there have been conversations. I remember Bill Gates mentioning that he felt that something like a virus could wipe us all out. And I remember that leading to conversations about biological warfare, the use of germs and viruses and whatever to just kill people. What should we understand about those possibilities? Not to say that we know one way or the other what the coronavirus is or is not, but is that something that we should really be thinking about and kind of concerned about? Is the potential use of biological warfare, rather than standard warfare?
I think that's an excellent question. Not a scary one, but you should never take that you should definitely take that into account when you're looking at 21st century warfare, as well as we're in the era of great power competition. And what is that? Well, right now, during great power competition, you're seeing the rise of China, Russia, trying to bring down United States power because they feel that they are competitive enough to do so, and they don't want United States to be the number one power, which most people thought at one point, but they say they feel that we're losing that right now. So they're kind of working on that effort to bring that down. Well, how do you do that? It's not just, hey, a military invasion or, trying to put together insurgent to attack us internally at a financial center, like you've seen at the World Trade Organization. It could be other forms of threats that they could use, like, for instance, a spread of a virus. Now, there's a lot of speculation in this case that supposedly China did that to us, right? I'm not putting that out there. I have not read any facts about that, but they're saying, hey, that could have happened, especially the fact that you saw that China tried to hide about the virus, where there was some speculation that they didn't necessarily report the right way to the World Health Organization that, hey, there's a virus going on spreading in China, and it's pretty deadly, especially to older people. So they were trying to hide that. Also, there was some speculation that they had really badly condemned their health minister. So there was just a lot of speculation when they were really trying to hide the virus. And so some people who, especially that really believe in conspiracy theories, will sit there and say, oh, maybe they did that intentional, bring that into the United States. And what makes it even more scary is, say like that is so. Well, right now is a perfect time to attack the United States. And I'm not saying that is going to happen, because I don't want people to get too scared. We're already very overwhelmed with this. But if you think about it, we're really vulnerable now, right? Because we're self-quarantined, we're in a crisis going on. So if you're an enemy and you're saying, hey, I want to go after someone by destabilizing, using biological warfare, et cetera, and then get them to where they're in the state of what we're going through right now, that's a perfect time to attack them. Now, again, I don't want to scare anyone, but that's where people like that believe in conspiracy theories or believe in this argument, they double down it because they feel that could be possible.
Wow. Well, what I think about Major Castleberry is I think about, psychological warfare.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I don't exactly always know how to specifically and technically identify when psychological warfare has taken place, but I can't write it down and explain it to you, but I can feel it when I feel like it's happened, or I feel like, you're psychologically vulnerable to the point where, things don't have to be real. You just have to think that they're real. And I was grappling with kind of how to respond to the corona situation, because I just felt like there were some things that we should panic about and things that we shouldn't panic about. And I feel like we were kind of being told to panic about everything. I mean, I know people that, especially senior citizens who live in towns where there's not one single case anywhere, and they won't answer the door. They won't go outside, yes. And I understand, right? We're supposed to self-quarantine. I think we're supposed to follow the rules, but I just really couldn't process. I said, what's the right balance? How do you make sure that you're prepared, but not go so crazy that you become completely, frozen in your time and space. Like you can't do anything, you can't move. And so what do you think? I mean, so with you being in New York, and you and I talking really changed my perspective on a lot of this, or shifted a little bit, because it was interesting to hear from someone who's right in the middle of it. Because where I'm at, it's fine. Right here in Illinois, it's totally fine. I was outside, we were social distancing, everybody was, but Alicia and I took a walk. People were walking their dogs, walking their kids. Everybody stayed away from each other. We were following the rules. But, it seems to me that where you are kind of is a precursor to how things could be in a lot of places if we don't get this under control. I mean, do you feel, I mean, Cuomo's been pushing hard, exhibiting what I think is strong leadership. And maybe I'd love to get your take on that if you agree. Do you think that New York is going to get it under control?
Yes, I do. It just, the timing aspect is the big question. If you see that the number of cases keep going up, it is questionable on when is this going to eventually happen. But we're looking to the rest of the world as examples on how we can, calm this down. Right now, we're looking to what Italy is doing, and as a result of social distancing, excuse me, can't say the word, the number of cases have gone down significantly. Also, we're looking at South Korea right now. They're really helping us out, giving us some recommendations. So I think it's a matter of time. It may slow down. Some people feel that we'll be experiencing this all the way up to the beginning of the summer. But going back to the psychological aspect to it, I heard you talking about it in another interview, and I thought it was really interesting because you are seeing, the media talk about it. You're seeing in Washington, D.C., where they're struggling to pass a stimulus bill so people can get checks. People are very worried about, some people have lost their jobs as a result of the coronavirus. Some people are, they still have to be told you have to pay your bills. They still have to pay rent. We should be pushing for universal rent control as a result of this. I mean, people are really financially stressed right now because they have no idea what's going to happen. And some were told you have to stay at work, knowing that they didn't want to stay at work because others had the coronavirus, but still told by their boss, you have to stay at home. And they said, no, I'm leaving. And they were fired or they quit. So there's just a lot of stress around this. And I think with the media, there's some good facts that are being told, especially with Cuomo's briefings that he does like every other morning. So the rest of the country has been looking towards his briefings and President Trump's to find out the updates. But then you also have this issue with disinformation, and we have to be very careful with that. I have been actually talking about that on Twitter, that there has been some level of disinformation about the virus, so that also helps make, try to get people more panicked about what's going on. So, looking beyond this coronavirus issue, I think what's also going to be a big issue is not only because of financial stress and people losing family members, loved ones, friends, you're going to have a high level of PTSD, kind of like going to war. It's funny, when I went to Chicago about a couple of months ago, I was there actually talking about gun violence. And the one thing that I've noticed that doesn't get a lot of attention in Chicago is after people have watched their loved ones, killed by, gun violence, they don't really pay attention to the PTSD aspect of it, what comes afterwards. And it's the same thing with the coronavirus. There's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna have some mental health issues as a result of this.
Everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Major Asha Castleberry. She's out of New York. She's running for Congress, by the way, in the 17th District of New York. And she's a smart sister, served her country, is going to make a difference in Washington. And also, as some of y'all are asked, I think somebody asked, where's my lotion at? They make fun of me. They make fun of me because my hands get ashy. They should probably call me Ashley. But so yeah, I do have the lotion nearby, by the way. So ha haters, ha. But anyway, yeah. So Asha is a good friend and just a respected colleague and a good human being. And I really am happy to have the sister on because I really think that we should, as a community, make sure we're checking out the Black women that are doing great things like Asha's doing. You know, I don't know. I'm curious to ask you about this, Asha. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive about it on your behalf, but because I know you're a strong person, but you know, what's it like being a Black woman who's a national security expert? I imagine you're in many cases you're the only one. You know, even a lot of people in your own community don't really check to hear what national security experts have to say. I mean, you know, at least that's what I feel. You know, like I kind of scroll through social media and I see what people are clicking on, what they pay attention to, especially when it comes to Black women. And I don't see as much attention to, and it's not just someone like yourself, but even those who are scholars and, you know, and attorneys and therapists who have great things to say, but don't get the support they deserve from the community. What's it been like for you as a Black woman to be in a field where there just aren't that many Black women, at least not that I've seen?
Oh my God, that is an excellent question. I can describe it in many ways. One, it's been, for some people, it's shocking. Like, what? You know about national security? Really? Right? And you served in the military? Okay, that's different. That's, you know, it's like you turn into like a science project. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't expect you to talk about national security as part of your portfolio. So that's one. Two, it's also a bit upsetting because when you look at the reason why I jumped in the congressional race is because a lot of it involves national security. A lot of it involves the role of the military. If you look at the federal budget, most of the federal budget goes towards the military, and one reason is because we've been in these endless wars. You know, and we look at the Republicans; they love funding a lot. They love putting our taxpayer money straight to the role of the military. So, you know, a lot of it involves the role of the military. So, but a lot of people don't know that, which is kind of strange. And it's okay. I guess it's because, you know, education and, you know, the type of jobs they have, they don't study the federal budget. So they don't know that, oh, I didn't realize that congressional work, a lot of it requires to understand how the role of the military works. And even veterans too. I mean, more than what, $700 billion goes towards the role of the military, plus add a slice of 5% more towards Veterans Affairs. So you want someone with that type of expertise. But, you know, sometimes people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, how are you going to help me get more money in my pocket? How are you going to help me with my health care? How are you going to help me with education? And I totally understand that. But the way I pitch it is, you want someone to understand both, understand the working class issues that really affect our community, plus understand how the world works, how the role of the military works, and how national security works. So let me tell you, that's one really bad thing about running as a Black woman, understand national security. Sometimes not taken serious. When I jumped in this race in November, I told everybody since day one, you need to vote someone that is strong on national security. And I'm the strongest one on national security right now in my race. No one really, like, some people didn't really pay attention to it. Now, fast forward a couple of months later, we're facing a national security crisis. So they're like, oh, wow, she's been warning us all this time. So now it's our reality. We really need someone that understands how crisis management works. And that's what I worked on, especially in Iraq. When ISIS broke out in areas in Iraq, we worked with the Iraqis to, you know, as far as providing them more security, humanitarian support, working on counteroffensive missions against ISIS. I mean, we really worked on crisis management with them. And it's, you know, it's an experience that you really want someone to understand and know as a elected official. So most people just don't know that. They don't connect the dot there. And, you know, for the most part, I try to educate them on it. But, you know, some people will say, hey, that don't matter, but you supporting, let's say, reproductive rights is better for me than you being a national security person. And I'm gonna tell you something that's interesting too about national security. When it comes to 9/11, the coronavirus, none of that stuff discriminates. I hate to tell you this. When 9/11 happened, they weren't just looking for white folks or Black folks to attack. They were looking for everyone to attack. Coronavirus is about attacking everyone. So, you know, that's where we have to come as a nation to work together, not be, you know, separate from each other. That's why it's a national security crisis. Mhm.
I really love that, and you made points that I made. I pay attention. I have my my ear to the streets in terms of what Black folks are talking about, and I'm B1 100%. B1 is what we do in the chat when we basically communicate that we're Black first.
Right.
Black first. Type B1 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Just B1 means that we put our community at the top of the priority list, but being B1 means I think you have to be intelligent about things. And so for example, I'll hear conspiracy theories that'll say, the coronavirus doesn't kill Black people.
Yeah, I heard that
Yes,
one.
right. Yeah, yes, it does. You are not immune, right? Or if the Iranians were to attack America, they would somehow magically preserve the Black people. No, a nuclear bomb is gonna kill everybody.
Right.
And so it doesn't mean we co-sign on everything. I mean, I think we have to challenge our nation to be responsible when it comes to foreign policy, which which I don't know if we have been. I don't think we have in some cases. But we're all kind of in certain things together, and I think it is important that for us to understand there are times where we must come together as a country, and so I really appreciate what you do, and everybody in here, if you could, and I'm gonna let Asha get the last word, but do me a favor. First of all, before I can get a chance to do this, please give Major Castleberry a digital thank you for serving her country and being just a great Black woman. Just thank her. All the brothers show respect to this sister for what she's accomplished. All the Black women in the room, just shout her out. Share this video so that people can know about her and support her campaign. And I want to give you guys her website also, if somebody could type this in so that others can see it. The website is ashaforcongress.com. That's ashaforcongress.com. Now, you guys know this is significant because you never seen me bring a politician on this platform ever. And believe me, they ask all the time, and I usually say no, thank you. But this is one time that I don't ever recall ever bringing another politician on ever in 10 years I've been doing this. So that shows how much respect I have for this sister. And so, Asha, let me ask you, I guess the last point here, I'm gonna ask your opinion about something. My dad was a Vietnam veteran. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for those who serve in the military. I don't tolerate disrespect for soldiers, because most people who might say something negative about soldiers or whatever, usually those people are the last ones to actually stand up and defend anything. They don't know what that's like to put your life on the line for something. So we don't respect soldiers on this platform at all. But and one of the things I've always felt is when we get to the point where as a country congressional or members of Congress, like you're going to be in Congress, you have these political leaders, many of whom would never send their children to the military, would never send their children to war, but they're voting to decide if we're going to send somebody else's child to war. I think that is a problem. I always felt, I said, if I had it my way, I would never allow anybody to vote in favor or against going to war if they have not either served in a war or served in the military, one of the two. In fact, I think even in situations like this, I feel that measured leaders who really understand the implications of our foreign policy, like a guy like a Colin Powell, are perfect. Yeah. Because you need the intelligence of an Obama, you need some of the strength that even a Donald Trump might have, but Colin Powell's a guy that I think just was balanced and measured in that way. And so I'd be curious to get your thoughts in terms of, how would you choose to set things up if you wanted to have leaders that had an understanding and appreciation for the military, but we're not sort of going along co-signing on everything the military industrial complex is doing. Right. How do we balance those two things between the times where we know we just have to go fight versus times where there might be a better option? What do you think?
Right. Oh, no, that's an excellent question. First, I would say that we should definitely vote for people that really understand public service. They're not privileged. They're not trying to buy seats. There's a lot of rich people that served in Congress because they had the money to actually buy the seat. But many voters vote for them, so they enable them, empower them, despite that they know that they're buying the seat. I have actually a couple of people in my race that are doing that right now. Two, what's very unfortunate, I actually admire your father because he comes from a very special generation where most of the people around that time served, during the Vietnam War. They were called on to serve their country. So a bulk of them had a understanding of what is it like to help protect our country. And then after the Vietnam War, the veterans community really went down in terms of the population, where when you go into the post 9/11 vets like me, we only represent less than 1% of the population. Only less than 1% of the population in the United States serves in the military. It's totally different from when your father was in. So there's the level of patriotism or understanding how national security works, the role of the military. It's really missing in this country because we don't have that many people that are serving. So now, as far as those that want to run for office, you're seeing less and less people with military experiences that tend to be progressive, not hawkish, but progressive, that wants to end these endless wars, not overutilize the military industrial complex, all that. They come in a very few numbers. It's a small pool of them. And what we need to do is not only, I'm not here to recruit, but I think more people do need to serve, and also need to think of, invest in pragmatism in terms of foreign policy and how we can better utilize the military instead of being so hawkish all the time. And that's a way how we can be able to build those next generation leaders and getting them to represent us in Congress. And those same type of leaders that understand the military works a lot of them actually come from the working class. So they understand the financial issues, the issues involving education, infrastructure in the middle class, sort of, where they can be very relatable. Because I think what the problem is, we have too many rich people in Congress that, they're not moving with a purpose to help us out because they're out of touch with the issues that impact us at home. They don't know what it's like to, get money pulled out of your account and you're below zero, it's in red, or they don't know what it's like when you have lack of food security, or, your bills are piling up. They have no idea. So we need to stop voting for people that are out of touch with our issues. And I think that's, for the most part, I definitely think that's the recommendation I would provide here to you.
Well, yeah. I think it's a good recommendation. And I think that, it sounds to me like you're talking about just relatability, people that really know what people are going through, and leaders that understand service. You mentioned serving your country. And I know the difference between a servant leader and a leader that's that sees leadership as a pathway to power and privilege and wealth, right? You've got different categories.
And I'd like to add one more thing too, especially when it comes, because your audience is mostly Black people have served in every single war since the American Revolution. I know Dr. Claude Anderson has mentioned that, and that is true. If you go to the museum down in Washington, D.C., the African American Museum, they show you how many Black soldiers have served in each war. And it's incredible. I mean, millions and millions have served in each war since the American Revolution. So I don't want people to think that, oh, this is not my country. It's, that's for a certain group of people. No, it's your country too. You fought in every single war up until now. So you help build it. You help serve in their wars. This is part of your history too, as well.
That's right. Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. This is Major Asha Castleberry. She is running for Congress in the 17th District of New York. Her website is ashaforcongress.com. That's ashaforcongress.com. Somebody please type in the chat, ashaforcongress.com, and go check out the website and go support the sister. And give me a yes in the chat if you would be willing to commit to sharing this video on your Facebook page, on your social media. We're looking for some volunteers because we all need an army, and you guys are part of our army for Blackness. And I'd love to ask you guys if you like the sister. If you don't like her, if you didn't like what she was saying, then that's okay too. It's your right. But if you do like what she's saying, we'd love for you to put some action behind your words. Just give me a yes that you're going to take this link and share it on your social media, or if you're on Twitter, retweet this. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. It takes 1 second to do that. Because that's how people get political power. That's how they get elected for office. So thank you guys who are agreeing to do that. And I'm going to do that as well. So thank you very much, Major Castleberry. Thank you for your service to the country. And thanks for hanging out. And it's real good to see you again.
Yes, you too. Mhm.
Yes. All right. So everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button before you go. And thank you for hanging out on drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And I will be checking back in with you guys real soon about everything going on with the stock market. Today was the best day that the stock market's had since 1933. I don't know if you know that, Asha, but we were partying today.
Yes, 2000.
Yes, because all my people own stock, so they were all happy because they were making money today. So it's because we're building Black wealth up in here. We're not just talking; we're actually building and growing and fighting. So thank you so much, Asha, and I look forward to having you back.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody. Have a good day. Bye bye.